We begin Season 2 with the Decepticon warship. As you guys know, in the last part, the Dinobots and the remaining Autobots actually staged an ambush to, well, take down the warship. And take down the warship they did, leaving nothing but the crippled remains of it. And this is where we actually see the Decepticons overlooking at it, with obviously the crew here being Megatron, Dreadwing, Starscream, Soundwave, Thundercracker, Knockout, Breakdown, and the Combaticons, all looking at the warship, each having different reactions. And keep in mind, there are like 20 Vehicons left. And Megatron is like, ugh, my ship, my nemesis, is completely destroyed, but we can still salvage it. To which Starscream says, on the contrary, Lord Megatron, I actually do have a better solution. A new base of sorts, if you will. And this is where Megatron looks at him like, really? So tell me, Starscream, what could you have possibly made so that we could not be ambushed, or possibly even eradicated by the Autobots at this point? To which Starscream simply states, well, Lord Megatron, how about I show you the fruits of my labor? Soundwave, if you would be so kind. And so, Soundwave actually pinpoints coordinates to the moon. And well, this is where Megatron and the rest of the Decepticons look in absolute disbelief at what they see. A lunar base. How intriguing. Huh. To which this is where all the Decepticons look with very much mixed emotions. And this is where Blastoff and Vortex looking like, okay, wait a minute. When did you even have time to do this? And Starscream simply states, I've been on Earth for a very, very long time now. Even before you arrived, Lord Megatron. So, obviously, welcome to your new base. And to which Megatron simply laughs and states, finally, a different advantage over the Autobots. But now is not the time to celebrate. Let's get hunting for those relics. And then we pan over to the Autobot base. Everyone is cheering, celebrating the fact that they actually took down the Decepticon warship. However, it is noticed that they did disappear. And while the Autobots aren't too concerned about that, they know that at least the Decepticons warship is there, and it's kind of up for grabs. But right now, they're taking their time to just relax, to chill out. Because keep in mind, they went from the Megatronus incident to actually going to, well, save Optimus under dire circumstances. And this is where Windblade looks at Optimus and asks, sir, are you okay? And this is where Optimus is currently in his trance talking to Alpha Trion. Keep in mind, due to the Megatronus incident, they still, he would have still had the Star Saber and everything. So, he still would have had it. However, this is where he feels someone shaking him out of the trance. And it's none other than Grimlock. And well, luckily, he didn't have enough sense to smack Optimus at the moment. To which he actually did think about and states, you know what? Maybe you could go back into that trance. To which Optimus pushes his hand away and says, I'm fine, old friend. But right now, I have actually received the coordinates for the remaining relics, the Omega Keys. And to which Cliffjumper's like, wait a minute. You mean the Omega Keys that can revive Cybertron? No way. This is great. But one quick question, Big Boss. What do we do with those? And so the Autobots turn to see the 5 protoforms that are just up against the wall. Keep in mind they did find the Harbinger earlier thanks to Starscream's blundered ambush. And so, they really don't know what to do. To which Bulkhead's like, oh yeah, kind of forgot we did bring those here. Maybe we can make some new Autobots. Or maybe we can possibly make clones of them. Of us, maybe? To which Ratchet is like, actually, I think I know a good idea for this. And he turns to Optimus. You thinking what I'm thinking? And to which Optimus says, indeed, old friend. Go ahead. However, this is where Windblade simply asks Ratchet one thing. She wants one protoform for her. She has an idea on how it could work and how they could use it. But right now, she needs to know if Ratchet is on board with it. And again, Ratchet, and considering the team here is more united than they ever have been before. But yeah, I think it would definitely they would definitely give him a protoform, or give Windblade a protoform, excuse me, or he would give Windblade a protoform. So he does do it. So this is where the Autobots are now discussing what they should do next. And Slug offers that they can just go ahead and get the relics right now. Maybe start with the Omega keys. And RC ultimately agrees about this, as again, not only do they have the information advantage, they have the numbers advantage as well, and the power advantage with the Star Saber. However, that goes on hold when everyone's favorite goated person, Agent Fowler, calls in. And as usual, this would actually be the episode Loose Cannons. And he says, Prime. And to which, Prime walks up asking, yo, Agent Fowler, how are you doing? You sound a little distressed. What's going on? And Agent Fowler informs him that there are 3 Cybertronians duking it out in a, I guess you could say, near a gas station area in the middle of nowhere. And this is where Optimus looks around, is like, every Autobot's accounted for, and even his, heaviest hitters. And to which then, who are these guys? And shows image footage of Wheeljack and another Autobot fighting against a very powerful Decepticon. And Bulkhead is obviously excited about Wheeljack being back. However, Snarl simply states, wait a minute, who's the female? She seems familiar, but I can't put my finger on it. And this is where Windblade jumps for joy when she realizes who it is. It's Firestar, one of the Autobots' most, dangerous female warriors. And this is where she actually is utilizing her blaster along with Wheeljack to try and push back the Decepticon. And so this is where Bumblebee simply asks, who's the Decepticon they're fighting? And to which, when it pans over, everyone looks in utter disbelief, with Bulkhead saying, no way, he's here? I thought he was terminated a long time ago. Windblade, I thought you said. To which Windblade says, yeah, he was. Even she can't believe it. He's alive after so long. She decapitated him. And this is where it pans over to none other than Sixshot, the quintuple changing Decepticon, easily utilizing his many forms to push and overwhelm Wheeljack and Firestar back. And this is where Grimlock simply states, then we have to get there now. They're not going to survive if he's this powerful. I don't remember him having this many forms, but right now, let's just move. And so the Autobots prepare to basically engage with Sixshot. And this is where we actually see Wheeljack and Firestar trying their best to hold him off, with Wheeljack unfortunately having to use the jackhammer as a shield, which does damage it a great deal. And this is where Firestar simply states, listen, I'm going to try it. Maybe this could actually work. To which Wheeljack is like, look, I'm all for ideas right now, but we need them immediately. And so Firestar simply puts away her gun and pretty much points her hands at Sixshot here. And this is where she launches a flamethrower from her hands, basically launching these highly compressed flames out right at Sixshot. And this actually does push him back for a little bit. However, this is where he transforms into his tiger form. I know it's supposed to be a wolf, but let's just be real. Does that look like a wolf to y'all? Yeah, that's what I thought. So with that being said, he leaps at them, but luckily a space bridge opens in time and Slug rams into him, flinging him off, and unfortunately this flings him into the gas station. Luckily, nobody's dead, nobody inhabited that gas station. But this is where Optimus actually utilizes the Star Saber to use an energy wave to cut Sixshot. Sixshot, realizing that the Autobots now have a weapon that can harm him, plus the Dinobot's presence, turns into his, starship form and simply flies off into the distance. And so this is where Optimus simply, addresses Wheeljack and Firestar, asking them if they're okay. Keep in mind the gas station incident was pretty much, his and the Dinobot's fault. So he does state that, unfortunately, they did cause a lot of destruction just to hopes in killing him. And so this is where the Autobots do pretty much welcome Wheeljack back, and well, he pretty much explains he was lucky to get the Firestar in time, as he's been tracking Sixshot for a while, as he killed a few of their wreckers, including the likes of Sea Spray, unfortunately. And we then head back to the lunar base of the Decepticons. And well, instead of Dreadwing giving the signal, because he's already there, obviously Soundwave would pick up on Sixshot and would actually give a space bridge, allowing Sixshot to enter. So this is where we actually see Sixshot is, while he is a loyal member to the Decepticons and normally is anyway, this is where he kind of just looks at Megatron with a bit of nostalgia. And it's like, Megatron, the glorious gladiator of Kaon. It is great to see you once again, and I am here to serve. To which Megatron simply states, I expect nothing less from my Decepticon superweapon. It is nice to know that you're here, and I hope you're willing to get some revenge on the one that decapitated you. To which Sixshot looks with absolute joy, despite his face mask, and simply states, or pretty much bows to the same way Dreadwing does, and states he is here to serve Megatron, to serve his will, and his alone. And to which Megatron simply laughs and states, good, good, good. For now is the time. Now is the right time for the Decepticons to reclaim their glory and to reclaim their dominance. However, we don't end off here. We head back to Cybertron, the Kaon sector, and it seems to be empty, but there are sounds of a laboratory at work. And obviously, it's none other than Shockwave, with a Predacon army. How strange. Already nearly ready to even hatch and be born. And this is where Shockwave hears footsteps behind him. But he doesn't move, doesn't even flinch, and he simply asks, so, did you get what was needed, my son? And this is where it pans over to an already transformed Predaking. Now, the story behind this is that Shockwave was pretty much creating the Predacon army the entire time, especially after the fact that he realized the Decepticons were back on Cybertron, but no one sought him out. So he grew angry and grew bitter. And so Predaking, in response, gave his father someone to talk to. And well, that's kind of how he transformed. But this is where he drops the mangled corpse or the remains of Megatronus Prime. And Shockwave simply states, good, I can make use of these. You've done well, my son. And this is where he pats his son, or pretty much just rubs him on the shoulder spike, telling him he is proud of one of his greatest creations. To which, this is where Predaking simply asks, Father, why are we still doing this? I mean, we could take over Cybertron right then and there. Wouldn't it be logical to do such a thing? And to which Shockwave is like, yes, indeed it would. But in order to take over Cybertron, they have to eliminate their oppositions on Earth. Both Prime and Megatron are the only threats to his cause. And so, he wants to make sure everything is ready. And to which, this is where he moves behind the control panel and simply tells Predaking that his upgrade is ready. Please step into it. And Predaking simply states, for the glory of Shockwave, he will do such a thing. And this is where he walks into the chamber. Keep in mind, it's fully capable of adjusting him. And well, this is where the Predacons actually begin to hatch out. Some of them coming out and simply looking around confused, dazed, and honestly, kind of curious about what the world is like. However, Shockwave continues working, applying something very volatile to Predaking. And so, as the Predacons look around, they then become curious about Shockwave, and, or at least, their father figure, if you will. And well, this is where they all pretty much, kind of start fighting with each other. Kind of like how the Godzilla 1998 egg scene happened, where some of the siblings were just biting and snapping at each other. Not trying to kill each other or anything, But, it's obviously the fact that having multiple Predacons, plus, Skylynx and Darksteel are around earlier, by the way, this does mean that there is some difficulty with the situation at hand. No one's leading them. And this is where they all hear a roar that silences them. And Predaking emerges, now coated in Ore 13, having a black, gold, and reddish color, similar to a very specific dragon from an old continuity. However, when he transforms, he tells the Predacons to kneel. Kneel before Predaking. And so, after some moments, or after some consideration, the first two to bow are Skylynx and Darksteel. However, the rest of the Predacons soon follow suit right after that. And Predaking now feels like he's on top of the world. And this is where he then turns to Shockwave and simply states, "Father, I have ascended to the levels that no prime should be able to beat at this point. Let us get your vengeance, and let us complete your vision." And that's where we're going to leave it off here, folks. Tell me what you guys think about the first part of Season 2 and how everything is about to change. Peace.